Session 4 of Jesus the Healer. And today we're looking at the story of another blind man, but this man had been blind from birth. Jesus and his disciples were attending the Feast of the Tabernacles, and they saw this man begging. And the disciples said to Jesus, "Was this man born blind because of some sin in the womb, or because of something his parents did?" Sounds like an odd question, but it was actually quite a firm belief that your disability or sickness was a result of some sin. Now, in later reflections, I'll take a look at that connection, but for now, I want to look at Jesus' answer. Jesus said his blindness was so that they could show the glory of God. Sounds a little bit like God deliberately made him blind so that he could then heal him and show his power. A little bit like the firebug who starts a fire and then rushes in to put the fire out or save somebody so they can become a hero. But reading of the translation, and my reading suggests that it's the English translation that is sort of conveying this slight misconception. And a better translation would be, don't focus on that, focus on what God can do in the situation. Now, Jesus did something that he didn't very often do. He made a physical gesture. He didn't just command healing, which is mostly what he did. This physical gesture was to make a paste out of some dirt and some spit. And he put it on the man's eyes, and then he said, "Now go and wash it off in the pool of Siloam." This had significance. When God created Adam, he created him from the dust of the earth, but it was dust that had just been watered by the streams. So what this is signifying is that this man is being given a new creation. Then he told him to go and wash in the pool of Siloam, and the pool played an important part in the Feast of Tabernacles, which they were celebrating. At the beginning of the seven-day festival, there would be a procession down to the pool with priests who would go down and they would collect a container of water, and then it would be ceremonially carried up to the temple. And it was used every day of the festival with a little bit of water poured out on the altar. It had symbolism, and the symbolism was referring back to Isaiah 11. In Isaiah 11, they're talking about the golden age when the Messiah comes. And it says this, "There will be no harm nor destroy on my holy mountain, for the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea." And this water was symbolising the time of the expected Messiah. And so telling him to go and wash in this pool with that water was sort of saying the time of the Messiah is here. When he returned from the pool, he could see. And this led people to arguing, was it he, or is it just someone who looks like him? They couldn't make up their minds. We can understand their difficulty. I mean, they knew he'd been born blind. How could he suddenly see? But there's also the significance that he was actually a new creation. He'd come a new creation. He was changed because he'd had an encounter with Jesus. Now, the man was not an educated man, but he was brought before the Pharisees and he proclaimed that Jesus was a prophet. And the Pharisees continued to question him, and they said, "Jesus, this man is a sinner because he's done this on the Sabbath." And the man's reply, "Well, whether he's a sinner or not, I don't know. One thing I do know, I was blind and now I can see." And then later he says, if this man were not from God, he could do nothing. In other words, he's saying to the Pharisees, look, don't get caught up in this theological argument. Just look at the facts. I was blind, now I can see, and only God can do that. It was later that he met Jesus again and he found out who Jesus was. And that's when he believed and worshipped him. And so we have the facts, which led to understanding, which led to meeting Jesus, which led to worship. Healing is such an important part of Jesus' ministry.
There is an everlasting kindness, beneath the cross of